Wildlife Service reports this year alone, poachers have killed 18 rhinos and 51 elephants. There are only about 500,000 elephants remaining in Africa, a drop of 95% in the last century.
It is difficult to conceive that buying a piece of ivory or buying a piece of furniture without asking where did it come from and what may its use have caused, a very small step. But when you add it up in a world market of now 7 billion people, then the numbers that are being presented today in terms of transnational environmental crime amounting to perhaps over $200 billion, and it's probably even that an underestimate, then you're talking about an illegal economy that has mushroomed in our global marketplace that is, yes, in many respects threatening, first of all, species, ecosystems, and that is why this is a key topic also at a United Nations Environment Assembly.
But for many African countries, protecting the continent's wildlife continues to face significant challenges.
No country can defeat the trade in illegal wildlife products alone. Global demand is strong enough and the poachers ruthless enough to require a joint effort if our heritage is to be preserved.
The Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, otherwise known as CITES, is the world's regulator of protected wildlife trade, and it has set the legal framework for combating illegal trade and ensuring that authorized trade is legal, sustainable, and traceable. According to its Secretary General, the significant shift in drive behind illegal wildlife poaching from use of animal parts in traditional medicine to displaying the new wealth, especially targeting rhinos and tigers' body parts.
One of the drivers of the illegal trade that we've seen is the role of speculators, and this is speculators looking at high-value contraband, in particular ivory. We believe there are speculators who are basically banking on extinction. They have a portfolio, they'll invest in shares, they'll invest in property, they'll invest in gold, and they will invest in something like ivory and stockpile it on the assumption that the value of this contraband will go up over time. And it's these speculators at end markets we think are driving a large amount of the illegal trade, in particular in high-profit contraband such as elephant ivory. There's been some very strong messages sent within China and Hong Kong, China, of recent months, where they have destroyed ivory stockpiles. These are stockpiles of ivory that have been confiscated at the border, and what the government of China and Hong Kong SAR have done is to very publicly destroy that ivory and send a message to everyone to say that the government of China will not tolerate the illegal trade in elephant ivory, and if you are speculating in the value of elephant ivory, the return on your investment will be jail time, and it will not be a profit. So basically speaking, saying to the speculators, we can find your contraband, when we find it, we will destroy it, because we have to put an end to this speculation, and this speculation is driving high volumes of illegal trade.
The far majority of the illegal wildlife trade involves organized crime, even to the extent of hacking government websites. Rangers across the world, park rangers, are being killed and are fighting poachers front line. There are armed militias and armed poachers that they are being confronted with and have deliberate attacks and are killing rangers. This provides a major security threat. So does the involvement of organized crime spreading into all aspects of society. So do not underscore the role of that in spite of the fact that small terrorist groups may only to a limited extent be involved. That does not mean that it is not involved in militias, and definitely not in, we know it's organized crime is heavily involved in the illegal wildlife trade.
The trade involves a wide range of species, including insects, amphibians, fish, and mammals. It concerns both live and dead specimens and associated products, which are used for pharmaceuticals, food, pet, and ornament or traditional medicinal purposes. All of these have significant value not only on the black market, but to national economies if managed sustainably.
Currently, the scale and extent of environmental crime has grown to previously unseen dimension and is now being felt in any corner of the planet. Firstly, the scale of poaching, as we have seen it, on elephants, on rhinos, but also very many other species, including everything from birds, coral reefs, even insects, antelopes, and many different species, reptiles, and so on, in all parts of the world.
Right down to the wire here in terms of survival of so many species in the wild. You watch one World Cup match on TV at the moment, there'll be 50,000 human beings sitting in the stadium. And think about it, across the whole planet, you've got 3,000 tigers. Across the whole planet, you've got less than 50 Sumatran rhinos, around 20,000 rhinos. We are down to the wire. We have to get harder and faster with our actions in the field, because it's in the field that we're going to win or lose this fight, not in a conference room. CITES is really where the rubber hits the road. This is where things happen. This is where states are held to account. This is where the measures that have been put into place are reviewed through a peer review process, and where the committee has the opportunity to take compliance measures, including a trade suspension.
Combined estimates from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, the United Nations Environment Programme, and the INTERPOL place the monetary value of all environmental crime, which includes logging, poaching and trafficking of a wide range of animals, illegal fisheries, illegal mining and dumping of toxic waste at between $70 and $213 billion each year. This compares to global overseas development assistance of around $135 billion.
Environmental crime has implications well beyond the traditional conservation and environmental response. It links into livelihoods, it links into national economies, because the magnitude of money that is being lost to local communities, to the national treasury and to the national economy is so significant in its direct impact that it actually has consequences, registering on an economic Richter scale.
The reason why nothing is, or too little is being done, is not due to corruption or the involvement of state actors, but due to the fact that resources are not being invested into the enforcement chain and to significant civilian efforts to combat this. We do not ask for drones. We don't need drones. We need enforcement officers, investigators, prosecutors, as well as civilian efforts, actually to have resources to address this. 3 years ago, the international effort against illegal logging from an enforcement perspective was zero.
Countries have already passed quite a number of national policies and legislations related to different parts of the story that is being told here. We also have a number of international instruments, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. A premier responsibility, particularly for the aspects of crime, is the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. But also institutions such as INTERPOL, the World Customs Organization, ITTO, but also the Food and Agriculture Organization. All of us have a part of the responsibility or the mandate to address issues that relate to these phenomena described here. We need to get at national level and at international level a greater commitment to have a joined-up response strategy, which may begin with further tightening legislation, which may also have to do with a great deal of support that we need to give to countries to raise the nature with which the judiciary system addresses these crimes. But it is also the kind of work that UNODC, for instance, does with countries and with the World Customs Organization when they support the container control program.
Well, that's our program for today. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you next week. But should you have any comment or question, our inbox, earthfile@channelstv.com, is always available any time of the day. From all of us here, bye for now.